Hey, how's everyone doing? This is Oz with Oz Mechanics, and on today's video I got this 2013 Ford Taurus behind me. So the issue with this Ford Taurus, customer bought it from a dealership, and then a couple of weeks later he noticed that it had a severe misfire. So after they took it back over there, they did change out a couple of parts, but still didn't fix up anything. So they brought it over here to my shop. So how about in today's video we try to figure out what the issue is, and hopefully we can get it back on the road. Alright, awesome. So right now I just want to check out the codes, just verify what cylinder was misfiring. The customer did state that when they're driving on the freeway that the check engine light was just blinking. So I just want to see what's going on. Another thing that I did here is whenever they did work on this, that they did swap out coils, so hopefully we don't see those. Alright, so as you can see right there, we do have cylinder 4 misfire. And what else do we have? Ignition D primary, ignition E secondary, multiple misfires detected, cylinder number 4 and 4 again. Like I did state, they did swap coils. I don't know if that's this code right here. So I'm gonna be looking into cylinder number 4. What I do want to check out first, how about we just do a real quick relative compression test. I just want to get that out the way. Normally speaking, whenever I do these kind of jobs right here, whenever they swap coils and then change out different parts, I like doing the relative compression test. That's one of my first tests that I kind of knock out. So how about we get in the front of the vehicle and give that a shot, see what we see. Alright, so we're going to have two channels right now to do our relative compression test. One of it is going to be our high amp clamp, and the next one is going to be our actual sink. So to hook up our sink, right here we have our coil, and this is going to be a 2-wire coil. So we're going to have a power side and a control side from the PCM. That's what's going to basically ground it out. And that's what we're going to be hooked up to. So we have our leads right here, and what we're going to do, so one of our leads is going to hook up to our control side, and all these coils right here, so we can figure out which one is going to be our control and which one is going to be our power. Our power is basically going to be the same colored wire. So right here we have a purple and green, and if we look at the one right next to it, it's going to be a purple and white. And we look at the other cylinder on the other side, is going to have as well a purple and I believe purple and brown, if I'm not mistaken. So we can see that all these coils right here have one wire that's common to them, and that's going to be our power wire. So the other wire is going to be the one that's going to be our ground, our control wire. So that's where we're going to back probe to. So we want to do that. We want to make sure that we back probe right here, and then we're going to get our ground wire and let's ground that out to a good ground. So in this one I'm going to use my Strut Tower, so I'm going to use that to ground this out. And next, let's go ahead and we're going to hook up our high amp clamp. Alright, so we're going to do our relative compression test, and we're going to be using our high amp clamp. So we're going to hook this up to our negative side. Remember, either positive or negative, regardless, is going to be flow of current. So we're going to just hook this up. As you can see, we have an arrow right here, and we got to go through the flow of current. So on this side, we're going to be coming right back up on the negative side. So our arrow is going to be going this way towards the battery. And we're already hooked up. Make sure that we have our clamp on the on position. So we already have our sink hooked up to our cylinder number 4. That's the suspected cylinder, and on top of that we have our amp clamp hooked up. Alright, so essentially what you need to do is just disconnect our lead, and then we're going to hook up our attenuator between here, and that's basically going to protect our Pico from those voltage spikes. So before we start doing this, we're going to make sure that we're going to disable our fuel. So as you can see right here, we have 65 fuse, and that's going to be our fuel pump relay and our fuel injectors. It's going to be our 65 or our 30 amp. All right, so let's get to our Pico scope and let's check this out. All right, awesome. Now that we have our sink hooked up, turn number 4, we have our high amp clamp hooked up, we hooked up our attenuator, and as well we disabled the actual fuel. We're gonna start setting up our Pico right here. So on our first channel, we're gonna be hooking up our actual high amp clamp. So right here, we're gonna get off of this and we're gonna go to 600 amp current clamp, and then we're gonna go to setting. Well, right now we already have it as setting negative 100 to 500 amps, and then after that we're gonna go to our second channel and we're gonna go to our 10-to-1 attenuator. Make sure that you do click on that, and then once we do that, we're gonna go to our setting that is gonna be negative 100 to 400 amps. And I already have it set at 1 second per division. So what that means right here, there's 10 squares right here, or 10 boxes, and each box equals 1 second. So this is going to be a 10-second scale on the whole screen right there. And let's see what else we have. I think that should be it. So right now what I'm going to do, we're going to go inside the vehicle, we're going to crank this engine over, and we're going to see what we get. Alright, so when I did crank this engine over, it did not sound consistent. Let's see if it is. So right now what we're going to do, we're going to hit the space bar to pause this. And now we're going to go back and we're going to see what we have. Alright, awesome. So you can see right here, this is going to be our current from our high amp clamp. And then our red trace is going to be our sink. And that's going to be basically every single time the ignition coil is going to fire right there, that's going to be primary. So let's zoom in a little bit on this and let's see how this looks. So I think this is going to be a mechanical problem. Alright, cool. So like I said, there's a drop there, drop here, drop there. So this is going to be a 6-cylinder engine right here. So we should see at least 6 consistent ramps right here. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, drop. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, drop. And then our sink is actually hooked up on cylinder number 4, and guess what? Look where that sink is hooked up to, or it is going straight to cylinder number 4, the affected cylinder that we have. So this actually does conclude right here that our problem is going to be on cylinder number 4. So can we do another test? And I think we're gonna try another one. I do have a pulse sensor, and Mr. Mike Nicholson actually sold me this a while back. Haven't really used it, and I'm kind of curious. I want to see how it looks. So how about we pop that baby out and we try that out. We have our pulse sensor basically hooked up straight to the intake, and I'm ready to do this test. All right, cool. So I have everything set up, ready to go. Let's go inside the vehicle. Let's crank this over and let's see what we get. All right. Sweet. A bunch of movement right there. So let's zoom into this and let's see how this looks. Awesome. All right. So let's see right here. Look at that big old drop that we have right here, and that's going to be every single time on our dead cylinder. Right here. Like I said, I'm fairly new to this. I'm still gonna be learning from this. I did perform this test before a while ago, and I did talk to PJ and I did talk to Mario, and they're suspecting that this was going to be a intake valve issue. So I'm kind of curious to see what's going on. You know, I am real curious. I'm ready to check this out. So we're gonna tear this valve cover open and we're gonna see what we have. But this is pretty cool, man. We have our red trace right here. So we have our sink. That's gonna be our ignition coil firing, and as you can see, it goes straight to that dead cylinder, and then this pull right here is on that dead cylinder as well. So for sure we're 100% sure that it's going to be our cylinder number 4, and we're going to have a problem right there. And I do want to open up the actual intake open up the valve cover to see what we have. So let's get to it and let's see what we get. Alright, so as you can see, we're still on cylinder number 4. There's just something I did not like seeing right here. Look at this cap right here. It's a little lower than the other caps. So on this cap, it is basically right next to this side. But then when we look at this cap, it's a lot lower. I grab my screwdriver and look at that. And that's where we have our damaged valve. I'm suspecting that this is going to be an actual broken spring. So we don't actually have to do the actual leak down test. As we can see, we already know what the issue is, and this one just has a lot of clearance between there, and we can't do that to this one if we wanted to. You see, this one's basically in there. So there you go. That's what happens when you do your relative compression test, hook up your sinks, and the cool pull sensor that Mr. Michael Nicholson gave us. And you know, they did change out the spark plugs, ignition coils. I don't know why they did this right here, but yeah. So if you do like this video, please put a big thumbs up, and don't forget to hit that little notification bell to get our brand new videos coming out from Oz Mechanics.